Fang Ping, in the class of Yang City First High School, just accepted a shocking reality, which was himself going back to the past 10 years ago. To be precise, he is now in a parallel world that is 10 years behind his previous world. Because there's one thing that was different from his past world, and that was this world is ruled by martial prowess instead of money. Fang Ping's friends were chatting about registering for the martial arts subject, and Fang Ping found out that they needed $10,000 just to apply, and if they didn't pass the exam, all that money would be gone. But one of his friends, Yang Jian, said that he would register either way since it was the only way to have a good career. The group then discussed how a grandmaster managed to break through to grade 8 and challenged another man called Tai Mu. They were surprised since the grandmaster was only in his 20s but was already a grade 8 martial artist. Fan Ping then asked his friend if they knew any good internet cafes in the area. After getting the location from Chen Feng, he went there and paid the receptionist girl for the computer. After browsing through the internet, he found more information about this world and realized that if he wanted to have a good life, then he would need to take the martial art exam, even if it cost him a lot. This world has some unspoken rules, as the power level of martial artists decides almost everything in this world, and the martial artists are ranked from the lowest grade 1 to the highest grade 9. Even if someone wanted to open a business, they would need to be a martial artist. The same goes for the entertainment industry. And millions of youths would participate in the national college entrance examination from their respective high schools. And if they can score really well, they can be admitted into the highly ranked colleges in the nation. And he only had 2 days left to register for the exam. So he was hoping that his family was rich in this world so that they could pay for the test. But when he went back home, he was given a reality check, as his home was nothing like a rich guy's home. His room felt familiar to him, and when he was about to untie his shoes, a girl came in and asked for money that he owed her. Fang Pin was a bit emotional as he remembered this round face, so he went over and rubbed her face round and round. The girl was her sister, Fang Yuan, who in the future would lose the round, cute face that she has now. But to her question, he could only sigh as he had already spent the money. Fang Yuan thus went to mom and complained about the money. But their mother, Li Yuyin, didn't listen to her tantrum and said that her dad's gonna arrive soon. Soon after, his dad Fang Ming came back from labor work. If everything was similar to the past world, then his dad must be working in the factory with a monthly allowance of only $3,000. Again, Fang Yuan complained to her dad, so Fang Ping escaped. Later, they were having dinner, and during that, Fang Ping suddenly said that he wanted to take the national martial art exam, which surprised his family members. And after a while of silence, his dad gave him a debit card and said that there were $10,000 in the card, which he had prepared beforehand, as he was also thinking of letting Fang Ping take the exam. Fang Ping was surprised and took it with heavy responsibility. The next day, when he withdrew money from the card, an interface appeared in front of his face and was connecting itself to his brain through Neuralink. He then saw a stat window. Fang Pin, who read a lot of novels in their previous life, knew that it must be a system-like ability. He went back home and pondered his newfound ability. He discovered that the amount of wealth that was shown in the status window was proportionate to the money he owned. And if the money didn't belong to him, then it wouldn't show in the interface. He figured out the money stat in his window, but he didn't know much about the chi stat and the spirit stats. He tried many methods, starting from praying to the system to commanding it to increase the stats, but nothing happened. And when he screamed at the top of his lungs with his full attention, he noticed that his wealth became 0, but fortunately, his chi stat increased by 0.1, and he immediately felt that his chi in the blood increased, which made him feel blessed and very comfortable. Then he remembered the money stat that decreased to 0, so he immediately went over and found out that the cash he had withdrawn was still there. He was very happy since he found out that using the wealth stats of the system wouldn't make money in real life disappear. The next day, the teacher told everyone that wanted to register to go to the registration office. When Fang Ping went over to the registration room, one of the girls asked how much was Fang Ping's chi for him to confidently register. But Yang Jing helped Fang Ping out of embarrassment and said that Fang Ping didn't check it yet. But one of the males said that he had a chi score of 108, but since Fan Ping was very skinny, that meant he had less score than him. Fan Ping was struck dumb as he heard the massive number of 108, where his system only calculated his chi as 1.1. One of his rich classmates then offered him to check his chi score at his house. and Yang Jing was shocked as the rich guy had a chi meter to check chi scores. Fan Ping himself was surprised as he understood that even the smallest chi meters cost hundreds of thousands. After school, Fan Ping followed Wu Zihao and went to his mansion. Then he was taken to Ji Hao's room, where he was told to lay down on a fat chair. Then several glowing bracelets were placed on his wrists and neck, and when Ji Hao started the meter, a shocking number appeared on the screen. Fan Ping himself was surprised and found out that the ratio of chi stat is 1 to 100. Ji Hao was shocked as Fan Ping never practiced martial arts, nor did his family have the money to buy nourishment to increase the chi amount. When Fan Ping went back home and told his parents that he had 113 scores in chi, they felt guilty to not be able to support Fan Ping's talent. Thus, when his parents were at home, they were discussing buying some nourishment pills for Fan Ping with their lifetime savings. Fang Wen, Fan Ping's sister, didn't believe Fan Ping since one could take the martial exam if they had 110 chai. But how could her useless brother have 113 scores in chai? But Fan Ping said he was a genius and rubbed her round face even harder. His mom then appeared and told him not to bully Fang Yuan and to come with her. In his parents' room, his father Fang Ming handed him the cash savings they had and told him to buy nourishment to increase his chi score even more. As soon as Fang Ming touched the cash, the system notified him of extra $20,000. Fan Ping was really touched by his parents' sacrifice and went back to his room. But he didn't plan to buy any medicine at all, and just increased his spirit stat, which cost him $10,000. The feeling during the increment of the spirit stat was so good it felt like he was experiencing true freedom as he ran naked amok. After the increase in the spirit stat, he felt that his concentration, comprehension, and memorization abilities had increased significantly. So he was awake the whole night as he memorized the physics book whole. Thus he was feeling drowsy on his way to class. On his way to class, he met his class teacher who gave him and some other students basic martial arts theory books. He told him to study diligently, as most of the people had already studied the books through private tutors. Fan Ping was grateful, so he thanked the bald teacher. After a while, Fan Ping noticed a commotion as a senior called Wang Jing visited the students. But Fan Ping didn't know the guy. So a crazy fangirl explained everything about Wang Jing, including where he eats and shits, and how he didn't give up on his training despite being the #1 freshman of Nanjing University. The students congratulated Wang Jing, and many asked about the secret of becoming a martial artist. So Wang Jing said that the chi score doesn't mean that they could pass and admit into the universities. They need battle experience and the ability to remain calm in difficult situations to do a good score in the national entrance exam. He also told them that relying on medicines and nourishment to increase chi was not good in the long term. He also reminded the students to be prepared for a life of killing if they want to face the true martial world. When Fan Ping was back home, he was thinking of how casually Senior Wang talked about killing people and guessed that Senior Wang surely killed people before. Meanwhile, Senior Wang picked up his phone and someone told him that the suspect ran away to Kangshan. So Senior Wang told him that they needed to catch the suspect and offered $100,000 as the reward. Meanwhile, Fan Ping, who was in his room, increased his chi by 0.1 again, and his money became 0 again. But this time Fan Ping felt extreme pain in his whole body and went unconscious. When he woke up, he examined his body and felt that his body was slowly recovering to a normal state. He then remembered that he would need to bring Senior Wang back to school. So he rushed out of his apartment and collided with a strange guy who was apparently the new tenant living upstairs. He then vaguely saw a small kitchen knife dropping on the floor, but he didn't think much and apologized. Back in the bus, the students invited Wang Jin with respect, as he was only in the first year of college but was already a martial artist. When Senior Wang was going to his seat, he touched Fan Ping's shoulder and said that it was not good to increase one's chi in such a short time through medicines. He also added that one needs to do physical exercise too, along with increasing chi to make a solid foundation for future improvements. Fan Ping was surprised that the senior sensed his chi score but nonetheless thanked him for the advice. Later that night, he practiced exercising till he was sweating wet. So he went back to his room and heard news that said that a grade 2 martial artist had been killed by his partner after a robbery, and the murderer was suspected to be in Yang City of Kangshan. The news reporter also advised everyone to be at home before the case was resolved. Fang Yuan then told Fan Ping that she shouldn't go to school at this time, since if anything happened to her, then her fans would be devastated. But Fang Ping rebuked her, saying she was just full of flesh and nothing was attractive about her at all. Fang Ping then looked at the TV where they showed the knife stabbing scene. He felt that the knife was a bit familiar, but he was unable to pinpoint where he saw the knife exactly. Then when he went to bed, he remembered that the knife was exactly the same knife that the new tenants had dropped. He was in a dilemma as the guy was not only a killer, but also a grade 2 martial artist. He was worried that the tenant would implicate his family living downstairs, so he needed to act fast, and thus he made a plan and went upstairs. He knocked on the door and went in and told the man that he wanted to watch the football tournament, but their own TV was broken, but assured him, saying that he had brought some snacks and drinks to share. When Fang Ping was attentive to the TV, the guy was slurping on the drinks and thinking about how he could get Fang Ping to leave. Fang Ping also noticed that the guy wasn't happy with his presence, so he took this chance and told him that he would clean up his room as thanks. But when he wanted to go to the bedroom to clean, the guy said that he could take care of his own bedroom. And then, the box where the guy kept the weapons and the blood-soaked clothes dropped during cleaning. So the guy rushed and kicked Fang Ping as he was thrown upwards. Then the guy picked up the knife and held it by his throat. So, Fang Ping said that he wouldn't leak anything, but the guy didn't believe him and was about to kill him. And just at that time, the poisoning took effect as the guy was paralyzed. Fang Ping took advantage of the moment and slammed the guy with a stick. But the guy was still a grade 2 martial artist, so he was still able to hurt him severely. But even a grade 2 martial artist succumbed to the poison in the drinks. Thus he tied up the robber and calculated the loot, and found hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bag. But the system's wealth didn't increase, meaning that he still hadn't owned the cash. Then the guy woke up from his coma again and screamed like a bitch. But Fang Ping just insulted him, saying a wanted criminal like him only bringing 200,000 and a few bottles of pills is so disappointing. But how would Fang Ping know the value of those pills, as the pills could make the guy break through into the 3rd grade of martial artists? The guy then proposed a deal saying Fang Ping could keep the money and the pills. He also mentioned the value of the other pill bottles, like boner strengthening pills, and grade 2 nourishing pills, and said that altogether, it would sell for more than 5 million. He also said that it's not enough for martial artists to strengthen their chi and muscles. They still need to strengthen the boners to support the strong muscles. So it would be best if he took these pills for the upcoming national entrance exam. And he also warned him, saying it wouldn't be over if he killed him, as the detectives would figure out his location sooner or later. And if they find him dead, then surely they would suspect everyone in the building, and his family might be implicated. He was also told that if he called the police, then all the money and the pills would be confiscated, and it wouldn't benefit him at all. Fang Ping was at that time in need of money. As to become a martial artist, he needed an extreme amount of money. However, Fang Ping didn't believe that the guy would let him go away if he untied him. So he picked up the stick and struck the guy again. After the guy was beaten black and blue, Fang Ping called his senior Wang and told him that he was lucky enough to hurt the wanted criminal. But Wang Jin couldn't believe it, as he knew how high the difference was between a grade 2 martial artist and a person who wasn't even a grade 1 martial artist. Nonetheless, he visited the building and was brought in by Fang Ping to the room where the criminal Huang Bing was kept. Fang Ping then told him to help him deal with this issue, and in exchange, he could take a share in the loot. Wang Jin agreed and said that he would take the grade 2 pills, and Fang Ping could take the grade 1 pill. And since he would take grade 2 pills, he would compensate Fang Ping with $1 million. Fang Ping accepted it nonetheless, and saw that his system's wealth stat changed to 2.4 million. But according to Wang Jing, these items should cost 3.5 million instead of 2.4 million, meaning that these items were judged by the system by the actual worth, not by the local market price, which fluctuates a lot. A few days later, he saw the message of an additional $1 million in his bank account. Then, all of a sudden, his system began to upgrade too. He then saw the new upgraded system where the chi and spirit stat became similar to real life, which was a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning his 1.2 stat in chi became 121 and his spirit stat of 1.1 became 110. This meant he should be able to upgrade 1 point of a stat by spending $1,000, and sure enough, when he tried it, he saw his chi stat that was previously 121 became 122. This steady increment was better for his body than the sudden increment of stats from the past. He then saw a message from Wang Jin asking him if he got the money, and also told him that he delivered a parcel to him. And just at this time, his sister got in his room and jumped on his back as she told him to take her to a restaurant to eat. So Fang Ping took his revenge by groping her cheeky. Fang Yuan then gave him a parcel saying someone named Wang Jin sent it. So Fang Ping took it, and when Fang Yuan found out that it was the same Wang Jin as the famous Nanjing of their area, she asked him to get an autograph of Wang Jin. She then told Fang Ping that he would never understand how charming Wang Jin is, as 3 girls out of 5 were fans of Wang Jin in Yang City. She also planned to sell a copy of the autograph in her school, which would make her rich overnight. She then told Fang Yuan that Fang could keep 30% of the profit if he could obtain an autograph. That way, they would earn until their piggy bank explodes. Fang Ping didn't listen to her and went outside as he didn't want to open the parcel in front of Fang Yuan. When he opened it, he saw many martial techniques. Fang Ping didn't expect Wang Jin to be so righteous, as he probably sent this technique as compensation for the big part of the share that he took from the loot of that robber. He knew from the internet that to become a martial artist, there are 2 requirements. One was 150 chi score, and the second was strong boners. Strong boners couldn't be obtained from only eating medicine, but also needed some special techniques. It was really a gift matching his needs. But his home didn't have a good environment to practice the techniques, so he needed a good residence first. Thus he went to some real estate companies and toured through a few apartments and duplexes. He then liked one of those shown duplexes, so he decided to buy one. Anyway, money was just extra for him, as the system didn't cut the money after increasing his stats. So he asked the guide if there were any discounts on the sale. The guide was excited and told him that they have free unlimited internet and a premium TV plan in the residence, and the overall discount was 5%. But the discount could be increased after he deposited 20% of the cost. As such, he completed his payment and went back home. On his way, he was pondering on how he would tell his parents about the money he had to be able to buy such a big house. So he planned to keep it a secret for now. Next, he planned to buy some furniture and equipment for the new home. In the TV showroom, he saw a commotion where the TV was broadcasting the battle between Grandmaster Ma and Tai. There it was shown that the forest that was originally filled with trees became barren due to the destruction caused by the Grandmasters. The fight was filled with big landslides and storms, and just at that time, a rock flew toward the broadcaster's camera, and the broadcast was cut off. Fang Ping was surprised, and understood what a humanoid nuclear weapon looked like. Then after a while, the broadcast was resumed, as the tattered body of the broadcaster was shown. This event gave Fang Ping a big goal that he planned to walk, and he swore that he would become just like them, or even stronger with his system. Fang Ping then bought and wrote down the delivery location of the furniture. So he was late, and didn't come to his home. Thus his sister was cursing him in front of Mom, saying Fang Ping must be eating delicious foods in the streets. But her mom said that Fang Ping is training outdoors for the national martial exam. But Fang Ping was at his new apartment, and was training hard while Wang Jin was instructing him on the phone. Wang Jin said the structures of the human body consist of 206 bones, and also the flesh, meridians, and inner organs. And as a martial artist, one must make sure that different parts of the body are balanced with each other, and one can strengthen their boners by following different techniques. And when one would reach the limit of increasing bone density and chi density, they could try breaking through grade 1 of martial arts. But the more the chi score and the bone density is before breaking through the next level, the more solid and strong the foundation would be. Wang Jin then told him a secret technique to increase the limit of one's body by using the chi stored in the blood to strengthen the body, but it would decrease the amount of chi score. Not to mention the technique is not only dangerous, but also not normal, as it's extremely hard to increase one's chi score. And if Fang Ping wanted to try it, then he had a high chance of not being able to participate in the exam due to low chi scores. But Fang Ping didn't worry about his chi score, and instead sacrificed his chi to strengthen his body, and eventually succeeded without any side effects. And sure enough, his chi stats decreased, but he immediately increased his chi back using the wealth stats. He then found out that his body limit had increased massively after strengthening his body. Other cultivators needed hundreds of pills to replenish their lost chi, not to mention one can never take so many pills at once. But Fang Ping could replenish his chi as long as he had wealth, which can greatly boost his cultivation speed, not to mention his limit of body could also be increased. Soon the date of the exam neared, and the students fired up their training routine. When it was only 3 days left before the exam, the vice leader of Nanjing patrol team was depressed, as he said that for the past 10 years, nobody from Yang City was able to become a martial artist in their youth. He also said that the education board funding of the city would have been shut down if not for Wang Jin's good performance. He then reprimanded the person in charge of Yang City's education board, saying, if there are fewer than 100 students with more than 120 in Chi score, then he might be fired. When there was only a day left before the exam, students were crying as the requirements for taking the national exam were more strict and needed to have at least 115 scores in Chi. At that time, Fan Ping was called out by the vice director of the education bureau of their city. After taking Fang Ping out of the crowd, the vice director explained the situation of Yang City's low scores on national exams every year. He then told Fang Ping that Wang Jin recommended Fang Ping to show off his Chi scores in front of his fellow students, so that his fellow students are filled with extreme emotion, which might help them increase their Chi in the blood, and said if he is successful, he would be offered hundreds of thousands as a gift by the bureau. And as such, the stage was prepared, and a guy bumped into one of his classmates, but insulted the girl instead of apologizing. So Fang Ping unleashed his aura of high Chi, which made the surrounding students grasp in fear. Even the deputy director was shocked, sensing the high Chi amount, and said that it's almost close to a grade 1 martial artist. Fang Ping became the star of the rumor in the mouth of other cities' students. Later, the deputy director offered him a grade 1 Chi pill, saying that if Fang Ping could reach the max limit of the body before becoming a martial artist, then it would help Yang City a lot. But Fang Ping refused it, saying it was too precious and might even hurt his body, as the grade 1 pills are only meant to be taken by a grade 1 martial artist. But the deputy director told him to not worry, as Fang Ping's foundation was very strong. Seeing no choice, deputy director threatened him a bit, but Fang Ping mentioned that his senior Wang Jin would reprimand Fang Ping for taking the pill. The deputy was truly helpless at this time, and thus asked if Fang Ping wanted any compensation. So Fang Ping stated that he would need 2 grade 1 Chai pills and also 2 million in cash to risk his life. Deputy had no choice but to accept it, and just like that, more cash was heading to Fang Ping. In the test bench of the exam hall, students were being tested for their blood and Chi, and none of the students there had higher Chi scores than 120, so the director was sweating bullets. Then the director remembered Fang Ping and watched him through the surveillance camera. Fang Ping also noticed the tiny surveillance camera, so he had no choice but to swallow the Chi pill, since it would be too suspicious to increase his Chi suddenly without any pills. He swallowed it but kept it in his throat. When he swallowed the pill, he felt pure energy rushing in his blood, and power surged in his body. And the Chi meter was increasing its score gradually, and it reached 149 under the sweaty gaze of the director. After the exam, it was time to reveal the result. Everyone was depressed as they needed 115 points in Chi, and only a handful of people had 115 Chi. And when Fang Ping's result was announced, everyone was shocked silly. After the result, many cried as if they had lost their dreams. This exam determined their fate in life. Fang Ping looked at them and knew that without the system, he would be just like them. Especially his classmate Zhang Nan, who wasn't famous in school as she didn't have strength or looks. So Fang Ping comforted her and said that she would definitely pass the next time, and said that he would treat her to French fries, her favorite dish. She agreed and thanked Fang Ping. When on the way, the group encountered a guy that was preaching about the end of the world that would happen at the hand of martial artists. The guy also told them to join their organization to save humanity from martial artists. But the group didn't listen and went to take a detour. But the guy didn't listen and caught Zhang Nan's hand. So Fang Ping released his Chi aura and the guy let go of her, and then the group went away. The group then attended physical exams and written tests, and finally, the exam for that day was over. Outside the school gate, there was the cult guy in a van who came prepared with a strong force to teach Fang Ping a lesson. The cult members then got out of the van and started beating the students abruptly. Then a girl came behind Fang Ping and attacked him. Fang Ping defended the blow and understood that she was a martial artist that trained their bodies, and also noticed the tattoo mark beneath her eye is the same as the cult guy. He was trying his hard to outmatch her, but she was a grade 1 martial artist. Every punch of hers was strong enough to break a few inches of bricks. This time it was much more dangerous than when fighting Huang Bing, as Huang Bing was poisoned at that time. And just as life was flashing before his eyes, he saw that the opponent's head was smashed by another martial artist. He almost threw up seeing her bloody head. He then found out that the martial artist was from the detective bureau, and also the fact that this type of attack wasn't the first time, as the cult hates martial artist students that don't join the cult with passion. The deputy director also came and was shocked when heard that a martial artist attacked Fang Ping. Fang Ping was cursing his luck as the only martial artist from the group had to attack him first. He was lucky this time, but might not be lucky next time. This time 20 students were injured, and 9 of them were severely injured, and thus might not be able to take the next exams. After the detective left, Fang Ping asked the deputy director if he could give him any combat techniques so that he could get stronger. But Mr. Tan told him that in this day and age, combat techniques are not useful since fighting is prohibited by the law in civilian areas. And most people only cultivate their qi to increase lifespan and health instead of caring about strength. Mr. Tan then told Fang Ping that he was going to see his parents as he needed to say something to them, so he told Fang Ping to follow him after cleaning up. Later, while in the car, Mr. Tan transferred the 2 million that he promised to Fang Ping. He then said that the reward was sent to him earlier than expected due to his outstanding performance in the exam. When they reached home, Fang's family gave him a surprised welcome and Mr. Tan was showered with flying paper cuts. The Fang family was dumbfounded seeing that it wasn't Fang Pin. Then Fang Pin came out and introduced Mr. Tan to the family was surprised to see that the deputy director of their education board came to their house. So they hurriedly invited him. And when talking, Mr. Tan asked if Fang Ping's father, Fang Ming, was interested in taking a guard job of 5,000 a month. The entire family was excited hearing it and urged Mr. Fang to take the job. So Fang Ming accepted the job offer, and after a while, Mr. Tan took his leave. Then Fang Ping told his family that the education department this time also gave them a duplex house, but also warned them that they shouldn't tell other people about the reward, as the reward was confidential. Later, he brought him to the new duplex house. The family was shocked silly while Fang Yuan was exploring the entire house. His dad couldn't believe that the department would give them such a big reward, but he didn't ask anything else in the heat of the moment. Fang Ping was at that moment watching the news and heard that an earthquake hit the western regions, and many were injured, and a few had died. But due to a grandmaster predicting the earthquake, many casualties were prevented. And then Fang Ping saw that the grandmaster and his team were rescuing people with their superhuman strength. He understood that even though there was not much use of combat techniques in this peaceful age, but the strong technique could still save lives. Just at that time, he got a call from Senior Wang, who asked him about the exam. So Fang Ping told him about the exam result and also asked if he should break through or not. But Wang Jin told him to strengthen his bone again with bone-strengthening liquid before he breaks through to the martial artist rank. He also told him that the limit of the Qi score of 150 is only for ordinary people. The true prodigies could reach a higher limit before they break through to the martial artist rank. Thus, Fang Ping should also try to reach a higher Qi score than 150 before becoming a martial artist. He then told him that the bone-strengthening liquid isn't something that Yang City have, so he would buy that for him from other cities, and in exchange, told Fang Ping to transfer 500,000 to him for the cost. After the call ended, Fang Ping cried, as it was too expensive to be a martial artist. Nonetheless, he trained hard and didn't slack off, and was able to increase his qi in the body slowly but steadily. 1 month later, when he was taking a bath in bone-strengthening liquid, he observed his improvement just like every day. His qi improved to 162, and the qi potential limit increased to 170. On the day of the result announcement, Fang family was curious and gathered in front of the computer to see Fang Ping's result. And finally, the family saw the result for which Yang City's Education Bureau gave Fang Ping such a big house. With such a good result, Fang Ping would also be able to enter the 2 major universities in the nation. A short while after, the Fang family members were showered with calls from their friends and colleagues as they congratulated Fang Ping on the phone. Fang Ping, who was enjoying the moment, suddenly saw a message from Wang Jing, who asked him for a meetup. So Feng Ping went there at the city stadium and saw that Wang Jing was with a little girl who, he found out, was Wang Jin's teacher's daughter, Nini. So he went ahead and wanted to handshake with her, but she hid behind Wang Jin. Wang Jin felt that his own round sister was still cuter. Wang Jin then told her to play by herself, so she went away. When she was away, Fang Ping asked if Wang Jin was a part-time nanny now. But Wang Jin didn't talk about it and punched him. Then he told him to spar. But how could Fang Ping spar with a rank 3 martial artist? Wang Jing then told him that he was surprised as he didn't expect Fang Ping to complete the bone strengthening twice in just 2 months after catching Wang Bin. He kept punching, and Fang Ping was trying as hard not to get hit, but was still caught and slammed. Then Wang Jin asked if Fang Ping could join Nanjing University. He also added that with his position at Nanjing University, he would be able to waive all of Fang Ping's resources until he reached rank 3. Wang Jing also told him that with Fang Ping's capability, he could also join the 2 major colleges. The 2 major universities also provide resources for free to talented students. And every student would be able to take on missions just like Huang Bin's warrant missions. And the 2 major universities are situated in 2 different cities, one in the capital city and the other in the Magic City. Among them, Magic City has most of mission opportunities than the other colleges. Not to mention that the staff quota of 2 major universities are filled with the high-ranking martial artist. In Nanjian University, anyone can teach if they reach rank 3, be an advisor at rank 4, become a school leader at rank 6, and the dean at rank 7. But the major universities are much stricter. But he also told Fang Ping that it depended on himself, in the end, of how far he could reach in his martial endeavor. He was in a dilemma, as on one hand, Nanjing could give him resources for free until rank 3, which would cost him tens of millions, whereas the major universities would suit him better for his future endeavor. Nonetheless, Fang Ping made his choice, and after a few days, he left for Magic City College with the acceptance letter. He bade goodbye to his family members, which made his round sister cry. When he arrived at the Magic City, he saw buildings that were so tall as though they were touching the clouds. The city was developed to the limit, and the amount of martial artists is much higher than it was in Yang City. When he got off the train, a security guard came to check his identity and check his chi score. And when he found out that his chi score was 199, he checked the database for the martial artist named Fang Ping. But he didn't find any, so he told Fang Ping that unregistered martial artists are not allowed to roam around the city freely. But Fang Ping said he wasn't a martial artist, which made the guard shocked. So Fang Ping explained that he was a freshman who just arrived at the Magic City to attend Magic City's martial art university. The guard was surprised as a freshman had such high vitality, so he told Fang Ping that he was earlier than expected and usually, the university makes the necessary arrangements for everyone before school starts. He then brought him to an office and made a temporary martial pass where his address and information were printed. When he came in front of the college gate, he saw a big-ass gate. When he was staring agape at the gate, a fly came and introduced himself as Qin Feng, a third-year student of the college. He then showed off some of his half-assed techniques, but Fang Ying was able to dodge them, so he got to know about Fang Ping's high chi score. So he told him that picking the Magic College was the best choice for a talented freshman like him. After Fang Ping entered the gates, he navigated through the map and came to cross the freshman reception hall, which looked dilapidated. When the receptionist saw him, she said that he was very early and took his acceptance letter. When she was checking the acceptance letter, she said that his coming here early had doubled her workload as she had to make arrangements just for him. But then, when she saw his chi score while not being even a martial artist from the database, her attitude changed completely, and she said in a polite tone that she would make all the arrangements. She also said that she could arrange advisors to assist him in breaking through to the rank of a martial artist. She said that Fang Ping was a top genius, and that the college always values and provides for its toppers. Then Fang Ping was introduced to the manager of the rest house, Li Chenze, who came rushing upon hearing that a genius had arrived. The manager then took his luggage and went outside. There, Fang Ping saw a luxury sedan waiting outside. And finally, he was brought to the rest house and saw the luxurious building that had a private gym. Then he was shown the interior of each apartment that had an open kitchen, king-size bed, and a spacious lounge, and was told that all these were free of charge, along with the food. The manager also told him that his room was more special than others due to his potential. After Manager Li left, Fang Ping looked around more and came to the canteen and had dinner. When eating, he was pondering about strengthening his bones thrice and knew that he needed more wealth than what he had now. So he was thinking if he should start a company. Then he heard a commotion where a pig-like guy was bullying the waitress. Then Manager Li came and asked about the problem. then found out that a strand of hair was in the food, and when Manager Lee picked up the hair, he saw that it was very long. So he said that the hair wasn't from their own staff, as all the staffs are forced to grow their hair up to the shoulder. But the guy wasn't listening at all. So Mr. Lee said that he would send the strand of the hair to the lab to find out the DNA. Thus, the duo left in a hurry and said that they didn't need to go to such length. Fang Ping then praised Manager Lee for being clever and asked if Manager Lee wanted to be a martial artist. Manager Lee said that he had been saving up money to register for the training class, but Fang Ping said that it would take very long that way and his chi score would decline with age. So Fang Ping took this chance and told him that he would let him do a business and he would invest all the cash. And Mr. Lee would have gained enough to reach the ranks of the martial artist within 3 years. He also said that he has the confidence to reach rank 3 of a martial artist in the first year of his college. All Manager Lee needed to do is to use his experience and local knowledge to manage the delivery business. 1 month later, Fang Ping was strengthening his bones just like every other day. But this time, he was able to achieve a complete breakthrough towards his goal of 3 times bone forging. Through the system interface, he saw that his chi limit increased to 205 and his spirit increased to 209. However, in the past month, he had depleted almost 2 million of his wealth stats. But fortunately, he handed over the matters of the company to Li Chengzhe, so he had enough time to spend on training. The benefit of forging his bones 3 times before even becoming a martial artist is not limited to only a slight increase in chi score, but the benefits would be realized in the later stages of martial art ranks. After a few days, the school started officially, and many freshmen arrived. The Magic Dorm was divided into 4 districts based on the potential of the students, and Fang Ping was of course assigned to District 1, which was reserved mostly for martial artists. Instead of calling it a student dorm, it fitted the word luxury home better. Then he met his neighbor called Fu Chating, who surprisingly also knew about Wang Jin. Fang Ping then heard that Wang Jin defeated all rank 1 martial artists from Magic College last year. Fang Ping was surprised by hearing Wang Jin's name even in Martial University and understood how outstanding Wang Jin was. This made him want to surpass Wang Jin even more. Before Fu Chad left, he told Fang Ping to assemble at the combat training building in the afternoon, as per the school's order. At the combat building, students gathered and were chatting along. So the speaker used his chi pressure to quieten them down. The speaker then introduced himself as the dean of the weapon hall. He also told everyone that this gathering is about allocation assessment. He then told them about the allocation assessment and said that the building had 4 floors, each of which is for choosing the corresponding career the students would choose for their future. The first floor is for political studies, the second floor is for crafting, the third is for strategy learning, and the 4th floor is for practical combat. But a floor could only have 400 people in it, and if it had more than 400 people, then all the students on that floor would have 30 points deducted. He then told everyone that every freshman would have 50 points, and each point is equal to $30,000. So 30 points being deducted would be almost $1 million deducted. The students were angry hearing that. So the speaker said that they could gain points by completing missions of the academy. But he said that only the martial artists could participate in missions. When Fang Ping was pondering, he met Chad, who told Fang Ping that they should work together to get a position on the 4th floor. He also told Fang Ping that the advisors would choose the students they liked to guide in the future through observing the freshman assessment. Fang Ping knew it was important to get tutored by a good advisor, so he planned to attract all the advisors so that he could choose the advisors he wanted. And just like that, the Dean of Weapon Hall announced the start of the assessment, and thus began the flood of students getting into the building. And of course, it also gave rise to occasional disputes and fights. Meanwhile, the instructors or advisors were observing the situation from the monitors, but the Dean of Weapon Hall said that the students these days only had chi scores and no real combat experience. But they need combat experience to fend off the catacombs that are getting much more restless these days. The students were in chaos on the stairs as they competed to go to the topmost floor of practical combat, and those that already became a martial artists dominated those that didn't. And Fang Ping also started his attention-grabbing technique as he rushed through the crowd and slammed his foot on the head of the said martial artist that was blocking the entrance to the 4th floor. But he was disappointed as the people from the freshmen were not as good as he hoped. He gave up the reward of tens of millions from the Nanjing universities just so he could meet geniuses to compete against. Then he said out loud to grab the attention of everyone and said that the magic college was just so-so. As such came the angry voice from the instructors who told everyone to beat up Fang Ping for more points. So Fang Ping asked the observers how many points he would gain if he defeats all of them. The speaker was silent and then said that it would be 1 point for non-martial artists and 5 points for martial artists. Even though the point allocation was so stingy, he still was satisfied. His neighbor Chad was still with him as he said that he also wanted to attract some attention. In the observation room, the instructors found out from the database that Chad was a young master from the capital city who is known for forging his bones twice and completing the right leg bone forging, and heard that Fang Ping came from an ordinary family and was a non-martial artist who forged bones twice. But one of the advisors with red hair said Fang Ping must have forged more than twice. The red-haired advisor was Tang Feng, rank 6 peak-level martial artist. Then other instructors also chimed in and remembered that Wang Jin Yang that gave their magic college trouble last year was also from the same area. Then they found out that Wang Jin was the one that wanted to recruit Fang Ping for 10 million. Back in the stairs, Fang Ping was defeating students left and right and was enjoying the free points that were being offered. But he was a bit tired too, as going against hundreds of them exhausted him more than he expected. And just when he was resting a bit, the person called number 1 from the freshman's batch named Zhao Lei came and smacked him. Then another girl jumped up like a frog, and both of them had forged their bones twice. He would be fine if he wasn't tired, but now he wouldn't be able to dodge. Thus he had no choice but to use the wealth stats in the system to replenish his chai. Thus he was able to dodge the attacks. He would have been had without a system at this time. So in a counterattack he slammed that bitch's face with his dirty foot. The other people also started to join the fight, seeing that Fang Ping was injured, and another Karen was fisted in the belly as she was slammed on the floor, legs open wide. Fang Ping then told his Chad friend to fight against only non-martial artists as he would deal with the martial artist. Then he noticed that another martial artist with twice boner forging also came from behind, so he placed his hand to defend himself, but unfortunately placed his hand on her mountain peaks. And when she counterattacked, Fang Ping grabbed some other guy to defend against her legs. He then saw his Chad friend getting beaten up by the horde of non-martial artists, but he didn't have the time to save him. Eventually, more and more people gathered to see the fight, but Fang Ping didn't even let off the onlookers. And just like that, the freshman assessment came to an end with most of the guys and Karens being defeated. Even Fu Chad became a true Chad as his chin had swollen up. Chad was dumbfounded as Fang Ping didn't look tired nor injured even after being gangbanged. Then the red-haired advisor, Tang Fang, came and congratulated Chad for not backing off in the face of a gangbang. But he reprimanded Fang Ping for being arrogant. So Fang Ping swore that he would teach advisor Tang a lesson in the future. After a while, the students were taken to a stadium where the names of advisors and the requirements to get chosen by the advisors were written, and most of the advisors had the requirement to forge the bones twice. So Fang Ping looked around and saw a white-haired woman named Wu Wudi. Then he saw that his name, along with Chad and Zhao Lei, was in the requirement. She also noticed Fang Ping, so she called him out. She told him that due to Wang Jin defeating many students and injuring them, the students of Magic Academy hate Wang Jin, and when people will know about his relationship of him and Wang Jin, then they would surely bully him. But she said she can provide protection against them in the school. She also told him that she had grandmasters backing her up, so she would be enough for him. But she said that her students were given dangerous missions compared to the rest of the advisors. But she also sweetened the situation, saying she had company shares in pill companies so she can give him as many pills as he wants. So the last sentence from her was enough to convince Fang Ping to choose her. So she gave him the access card to her dorm and told him to visit her anytime. Then advisor Tang Feng told her that she needs to be more caring to her students, as more than half of her students have been injured or died during past few years, which made Fang Ping stumped. And when Miss Wudi gave Fang Ping 10 chi pills, Zhao Shuamei also came and wanted to be her disciple, so she accepted her as she was one of the people on the requirement list. Fang Ping was surprised to see someone would still choose her despite hearing the casualty rate. Then he found out that his Chad friend didn't choose Tang Feng, and instead chose Luo Yichuan as he thought he would be the best for him, and also found out that the so-called number 1 freshman chose Tang Fang. Then Fang Ping asked Chad if he wanted to go to the hospital first, or collect the points first. Thus, the duo went over to redeem the points. When they got in, they attracted everyone's attention, for Chad's face was just like a real Chad's. And Chad found out that he only gained 45 points, so he was angry. Then Fang Ping requested his points, and the host was surprised when she saw that Fang Ping, a freshman, had 152 points. Fang Ping was then told that credits could be bought with 30,000 cash. But when exchanging cash by breaking credits, it's only 10,000. Fortunately, Fang Ping's system could calculate and increase his wealth stat by owning even pills and items. So when Miss Woody gave him 10 vitality pills, he gained 4 million in cash. Then the duo went to exchange some pills, and found out that the pills within the colleges cost way less than the outside market. The next day, he went over to Miss Woody, who was probably sleeping. After getting in the room, Fang Ping told her that he wanted to break through to the martial artist's rank, and told her that even though bone forging makes him stronger, he still is limited by his non-martial rank. So Miss Woody also agreed, saying that it was the right choice to break through, and he could practice his bones later, and would have a massive advantage over others for forging the bones 3 times. She then told him that he could use the pills that she gave him last time to break through to the martial artist's grade. So she guided him step by step, and Fang Ping went along with her guidance. He concentrated his qi and poured it into his veins. Miss Woody felt that with the massive amount of qi Fang Ping had, he wouldn't even need to take pills. But nonetheless, Fang Ping ate the pill to not take any risk. And after a while, he heard the system notification, as it said that he had been ranked up to the first rank of a martial artist. So he was excited, but Miss Woody told him it wasn't anything exciting, as it's something very much expected from someone with 3 times bone forging. She then told him to take the qi pills to fill up his widened veins. But 1 pill wasn't enough, so he decided to use his wealth to increase his qi. At that time, Miss Woody noticed that his vitality was increasing really fast, and was thinking if everyone with 3 times bone forging had the same absorption rate. Nonetheless, she told Fang Ping to go to the training gym on Saturday, where she would teach him combat techniques. Later that day, when Fang Ping was going to the cafeteria with Chad found out about him becoming a martial artist. In the cafeteria, he almost coughed out blood seeing the price of the dishes. Chad then told him that the dishes are made with spiritual ingredients, and even his rich family doesn't dine with them often. And when they were dining, a group of upperclassmen came and challenged him to a fight the next month. But he didn't reject them as he wants to leave an example. And just like that, the date of training came. So Fang Ping went over to the training place and saw Zhao Shuimei waiting for Miss Woody. Zhao Shuimei then talked about how Fang Ping challenged the second-year students. Miss Woody came in at this time and began the lesson. She then penetrated a wooden pole with her feet and said that she concentrated her chai in the feet, and thus the feet became very sharp and pointy. She also said that it's a killing technique and is used for finishing the opponent in 1 blow, and also told them that they need to get used to killing if they truly wanted to become martial artists. So she also told him to treat the challenge with the upperclassmen this time as training, and if he wins, then she would give him a big gift. And so, Fang Ping practiced this leg technique and was able to comprehend the basics very fast. But Shuemi wasn't able to comprehend it at all. So Fang Ping said that she couldn't compare herself with a genius like himself. So in anger, Shuemi gave him a middle finger. But Fang Ping didn't mind and practiced the steps even more. He gathered the qi and then condensed it into a single point, and then used it with his kick to the pole. However, it just hurt his leg instead, which made Shuimei gloat. And just like that, the lesson for that day ended, and before Miss Woody left, she told Fang Ping to go to the logistics office to make a pointy shoe. After returning to his dorm, he remembered his family and called them. Then his sister picked up the phone and cried tears and snots. Then he found out that Deputy Tang was in their home, so he told Fang Yuan to give the phone to him. And when Mr. Tan picked up the phone, he told him the news of him becoming a martial artist, which made the family shocked. Later, Mr. Tan told Fang Ping's dad that since Fang Ping became a martial artist, he also would gain a promotion and would no longer have to work as a guard. Fang Ping then went to the logistic facilities to order the pairs of shoes. But the staff working there told him that he needed to have an official martial artist identity card, and not a temporary one to order in the logistics department. Thus he had no choice but to go to the examination room to get the card. In the examination office, he met the pink Karen who sneakily attacked him last time. Then Karen named Xiaoman said that he won last time because the freshmen were unskilled, but it wouldn't be the same for the third-year students whom he challenged. But Fang Ping confidently said that he wasn't afraid of some nobodies in first rank of a warrior. She was stupefied by his arrogance and left in anger. In the room, he was told to attack the steel plate in the machine, so Fang Ping used the newly learned skill and made a dent in the plate and was able to get a permanent card. He was also told to take a test next time he breaks through. After Fang Ping left, the examiner was pondering how freshmen could do such a big dent on the testing plate. And then, the third-year students came into the exam room and analyzed the dent made by Fang Ping and said that it wasn't enough to defeat peak first-rank students like them. And they said that there is no way Fang Ping would be able to reach peak first rank within just a month. But the old staff was calling them idiots in his heart, as Fang Ping didn't use his full power at all in the kick. Nonetheless, Fang Ping got his identity card, so he went over again and found out that it would take 1 week to get the armored shoes done, and the cost was 40 academic points, which were too expensive, amounting to 1.2 million in cash. He then also ordered some knuckle weapons following Miss Woody's instructions, costing him another 10 points and making him cry tears. Then Fang Ping went over to check his company's current situation and met Manager Lee. There he gave 10 chi pills that he gained from Miss Woody to sell and invest that money in the company. But Manager Lee told him that Fang Ping should use the pills for himself first. So Fang Ping informed him that he already broke through to the rank 1 of warriors, so he didn't need these pills. Manager Lee was shocked and said that since he became a martial artist, then the company could try to expand its business. Then Fang Ping gave another chai pill to Mr. Lee and told him to train too. Thus, Mr. Lee thanked him profusely, and Fang Ping went back to his dorm. 1 month later, Fang Ping was walking and getting familiar with his new armored shoes. He was then also brought to a testing facility where broken weapons were abundant. In the testing facility, he saw marks left behind by people that tested the weapons. Fang Ping also tested his shoes and was able to penetrate a thick steel plate. And during the combat class before the challenge, Miss Wu Di told him the backstory of the guy that was the mastermind behind the challenge scheme. His name is Liu Yongwen and a rank 3 martial artist. And his younger brother was beaten by Wang Jin and still lay in the hospital even after a year. She then gave him a rank 2 chi pill and told him if push came to shove, then he should use this pill to get a temporary boost in chi. Even Fang Ping was surprised by how serious Miss Woody was about the battle. When Fang Ping arrived, he was asked if he agreed with the match. Fang Ping nodded and said that he was willing. Then he was told that he would be given priority to voice out the conditions of the match since he was challenged by 4 people. So Fang Ping said, the senior students shouldn't use melee weapons as they might injure themselves when using the weapons due to their lack of skill. Second, he wants each senior challenger to give him chi pills, as he would need to replenish his chi when fighting 4 of them. And surprisingly, the opponents also agreed to give 4 chai pills. The first battle started with Fang Ping's trash-talking and ended with the death of the opponent due to the kicking technique. And the second round started with someone whose ribs were broken by Wang Jin. This time, the opponent didn't underestimate Fang Ping, so was able to fight head-on. Meanwhile, you can visit our Discord to see the name. Donate at Patreon. Your donation helps acquire the license for the artwork, so please donate to get access to more artists' artworks. Shout out to Dr. Daiji and Bart D for providing such good artwork for Alimentum Fiction, aka a fiction.